5 months into our reporting about fraud and addiction, we got probably the weirdest tip that I've ever gotten in my career. This tipster, a minor celebrity, had read our stories and said they really needed to talk to us. The tipster was really emphatic. It was so unexpected. They said, "You should investigate Dr. Phil." We were like, "What the f- is that? I mean, like, that's ridiculous. We're serious people, and we are not going to investigate Dr. Phil because that is not a serious thing to investigate." We were wrong.
We haven't asked you to do this anonymously. This is at your request, is that correct?
Yes.
I hear the ratings are huge, so you must be like, yeah, I'm the man.
Well, if you're going to do it right, I suppose. But I'm proud of what we've done. I truly think that it's the highest and best use of television.
Doctor, tell it like it is. Phil McGraw.
I would like for people to have a real idea about Dr. Phil.
They are there to get you in and out so fast. Have a taxi cab literally sitting out there. I bawled my eyes out in that cab.
They're set up to fail. They're manipulated.
We had to do absolutely everything that we could to get them there.
I had no say in anything at all the entire time we were there.
My traumatic experiences were seen as entertainment.
Fear is permanent every day.
It was cold. You feel like you're working for the devil.
Technically, he's not a real doctor, but like, he's Dr. Phil. That's his whole brand.
He is no stranger to controversy, and television's Dr. Phil is under fire once again today.
He's the most successful guy on television. What happens to this guy? Who can touch him?
I'm never surprised now when somebody comes out and says that Dr. Phil exploited them.
When it comes to talk shows in the sort of 90s, how was America engaging in its problems on national TV, would you say?
Wow, okay. Throughout the 80s, the talk show began to become a bigger and bigger thing, where it would be a family in crisis, and the host would talk to them, and maybe they'd bring out an expert, and Oprah Winfrey very quickly became the queen of daytime television. She brought a whole bunch of people on at the same time. Susie Orman, financial wellness guru, Dr. Oz, who is now working for the federal government, and then Dr. Phil.
My next guest is here to help lead you in the right direction. I've chosen him because he is the person who helped me the most getting through my trial.
Oprah got to know Dr. Phil from using the business that he had built before he became a TV shrink.
Opening statements are set for today in the Texas cattleman's lawsuit against Oprah Winfrey.
Oprah and her production company knew they needed help, so they called Dr. Phil McGraw at Courtroom Sciences.
When you get on the witness stand, it can rock you back on your heels and you can be less effective than you might be otherwise.
Oprah really liked his manner, so she started bringing him on.
Dr. Phil is here. He's definitely all wound up and ready for action.
He was speaking kind of truth in a way that felt good and felt kind of emotionally satisfying.
You can't be romantic enough for her to want to have sex 3 times a day. Okay?
Dr. Phil was a breakout star. Dr. Phil went from being an occasional guest on the show to being a regular guest on the show to being a fixture on the show.
Now to a man known to tens of millions of television viewers as simply Dr. Phil. He's emerged as a top contender for the eyes and ears of advice-starved Americans.
Within a couple of years, they gave him his own show, and immediately, like, his face was suddenly everywhere.
Man, are you making a splash? Your show is what? The #2 daytime show after Oprah.
He became like Oprah in that you don't need a last name. And then when she left, he was on top.
I'm Evan Allen, investigative reporter at the Boston Globe. In 20 2017, I was working with another reporter on a series of stories about the addiction treatment industry. We were starting to get a lot of tips, and it was sort of through that we got the tip about the Dr. Phil show.
Ain't life just grand? It's lots of hard work, it truly is. But really, it is pretty damn glamorous and exciting.
First, we just started watching the show. We watched a lot of Dr. Phil. In the early days of Dr. Phil, the segments are funnier, they're lighter.
No running water in the bathroom? Whoa! I shook y'all's hands when you came up here.
The next clip shows he was straight-talking Texas guy cutting through the bullshit because he cares about you and he's going to tell you the truth, and it's like a truth that you need to hear.
You teach people how to treat you, okay? You need to stand your ground and start the negotiation over because you got some help now. You got me, all right?
Later, there was a turning point where the tone really shifted. With every step of investigation that we did, the picture got bigger and darker. This was the first time that I had ever watched the Dr. Phil show with my full attention and with any critical thought. In the first 4 years of the show, he still was a licensed psychologist.
Because I feel like I've been given a very powerful platform, and I need to be a good steward of that influence. And so I weigh very carefully what I say before I say it, because I know millions of people the world over are watching it.
But then we found that in 2006, he let his license lapse, which means that he's not a licensed doctor. After that, you can see yourself. The show became more sensational, more disturbing.
She claims her father is a violent, dangerous psychopath.
It goes from mom's on the edge to my daughter thinks she's pregnant with baby Jesus. What will the ultrasound show?
I am pregnant. And it is Jesus.
It is so outrageous. He presents himself as this trustworthy, straight-talking doctor. That's his whole brand.
And in 200 markets in
But the reality is so at odds with the thing they are pretending to be. I just don't understand why people go on the show.
I was 16 in high school. That's when I wound up finding out that I was pregnant. Me and my boyfriend broke up about a month into the pregnancy. I didn't really feel comfortable with abortion. I felt that it was the right choice to take care of it and hold myself responsible. Everybody was very conflicted. My stepfather did not feel confident in my decision. My mom just wanted to support me. Her and my stepfather were fighting nonstop. She was just desperate. She didn't want to have to choose between her husband and her child. So she wrote into the Dr. Phil show. The night before flying out, I said to my mom, please don't make me go on this show. And that is when she had told me that, if you care about your family, then you're going to go on the show. And despite not wanting to go, I went.
When I first talked to the Dr. Phil show, I was reached out to. I didn't ask for help.
Investigators say Cassandra Taruga wanted to kill a pregnant friend and then steal her baby by performing a C-section.
In 2011, I was 18 and pregnant when my friend asked to come over to my house.
According to court paperwork, Taruga came over with 2 large butcher knives and a pair of scissors.
She told me that there was this gift that she wanted to give me. She told me to turn around and close my eyes. She just says 1, 2, And right when she says 3, I felt like there was a knife to my back. I stood up as fast as I could, ran and turned the light on. 911 was called. The cops were there. They could all see 2 large butcher knives. They also found scissors, disinfectant, a baby onesie, a newborn blanket. That's when I started to realize she had plotted to kill me and perform a C-section on my body to take my unborn child. The next day, I had every news station sitting outside my house. Everybody wanted to have an interview with me, but they wanted to change my story to make their own narrative of what had happened. So I declined everybody until I received an email from a producer from the Dr. Phil show. They were just kind of different. They wanted to give me that platform to tell my story, and they would be honored to be able to do this.
They said that specifically?
Specifically, they wanted to give me a platform. I just trusted what the producers were saying. The Dr. Phil show was like royalty. There was nothing but good things that anybody said about him. At least that's what it seemed like.
I grew up watching Dr. Phil, and I was happy to be there at the start. It was never about how can we help this person.
I think I would describe Dr. Phil as something of a manipulative egomaniac. The guests don't realize how personal they're going to get and how bad it makes them look.
We had to do absolutely everything that we could to get them there. We were told to tell them that it's going to be life-changing, that he's going to help them, that they're going to get resources that they would never otherwise get. Everybody believed that he was a real doctor and that, you know, he had the best of intentions for that. It really wasn't until they actually got on stage that it all sort of started to fall apart. I mean, it was really brutal.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams spring sale and transform your space with color.
You get to undertake. Stop taking the
Me out there. The producers were super nice. They sent a cab to come get me and my baby. They even bought a car seat for him. I was actually really excited for the whole thing.
I was told to make sure that they were taken care of. That was my job as a travel coordinator, to make sure that it was flawless from door to door. Your hotel is going to be paid for, your meals, we'll take care of all of it.
Was that the brief that you were told to make them feel like sort of stars?
Yeah.
We did get picked up by a very large limo. They gave us a 5-star hotel.
The hotel room was very, very nice. We got $150 of room service a day. Having somebody come and get me things, especially being a mom, I was like, wow, this is nice.
You're in the glitz of Hollywood. There's a sedan picking you up and taking them to the studio, right into the iconic entrance to Paramount Pictures. I mean, your head is spinning.
So there was a lot of love bombing, basically.
Yes, by the people working to get these people on the show.
When you were in it, did you enjoy it?
No. No. It was an open area called the bullpen, where all the producers and APs and PAs all sat. The anxiety just was everywhere in that office.
What was Phil like?
He was an intimidating person. He was a very tall, big guy. It's this sort of direct, booming voice coming at you. And the way Dr. Phil treated the producers created an environment of fear. You don't want to end up in a room with Dr. Phil being screamed at.
Fear is permanent anxiety every day. The producers were high-strung and neurotic. Like, they didn't seem like broken people. They were just awful people.
I never felt I can go to someone about what was going on. It's a place of control. The audience, they don't know the true man behind the persona and the name. That's all made up. It's a lie.
I was only 17 when my mom wrote the show. Our family was very broken. My brother had molested me when we were younger, twice. He was taken out of the home by family services, and my mom signed away her parental rights to him. But when he was in the custody of the state, he never actually finished any kind of sexual offender program. When he turned 18, they let him go, and he moved in with my dad. He was doing whatever he wanted. He was just really messed up. My mom was scared that he was gonna reoffend. She knew he still needed that help. That's why she wrote the show. My mom was like, the Dr. Phil show answered me, and, we're gonna get help. I had been in therapy for years, but my mom didn't want me to be re-traumatized. But the Dr. Phil producers said that either I went or they weren't gonna do it at all. He was still my brother. I thought it would be good for everybody.
When we first got to the studio, the producer that I had been working with from day one was like, "Hi, Angelique, it's so nice to see you." They start treating you like royalty, making you feel like you're important, like everything about you is amazing. And it gives you that little bit of trust where you're just like, man, I'm so excited for this.
So we started to reach out to guests who had been on the show. We started to hear the same story again and again. People described sort of feeling pressure from the producers, a little bit entrapped, almost like they didn't know how to get out anymore. And that was when some people described feeling like, maybe I don't want to do this.
We drove to Paramount. We went to this little area with a bush kind of hidden. It was like a little door, and in there was all of the interview rooms. They were very passionate in saying, he wants to help you guys so much. It's going to be this life-changing thing, and my parents believe this. So, despite going, I was very vocal to the staff that I didn't want to be there, and they told me that I was being a difficult child and that I just had to do what I was told. It actually got to a point where they attempted to coerce me into doing it by telling me that maybe, if you record your interviews, maybe we can have Dr. Phil help you get your boyfriend back.
When we went to do the interviews, they separated my mom and I. Once we started filming, one of the producers wanted me to talk in detail about my brother molesting me for about 4 hours. They wanted specific details said in certain ways. I was kind of forced into that, and I realized I want to go home. When I told the producer, I don't want to do this, she looked directly at me and she said, if you don't film this episode tomorrow, we won't pay for your way home. We were a low-income family. We didn't have the money to pay for a plane ride back for all 4 of us. So there wasn't really anything we could do about it.
Did you feel in any way in control, like you had agency?
Oh, no, I had no say in anything at all. I was only 17. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I was just a kid, a very naive, kid.
If you step back and look at the experiences of these guests sort of broadly, they really do mirror the arc of like an abusive relationship. Drawing you in, making you dependent, making it so you can't leave, and get them to do what you want. And I do think that that is power. I mean, one of the guests told us that they risked his life for ratings.
Wish the toast would settle down. I've been waiting all summer. I'ma do what I wanna.
Don't worry. Get the #1 ultra soft tissue that's allergist approved. Because allergies might test you more than finals. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
Nature's Bounty.
Your body uses magnesium in over 300 reactions.
Nature's Bounty supplements your whole body health with high absorption magnesium. Nature's Bounty. It's in your nature.
Breeze. When you host, your bathroom can feel like a revolving.
You have someone who has an alcohol problem.
I swallowed a crown. What about office romance?
You already have one. You should disclose it to HR.
Even a one-night stand?
The Office, Tuesdays and Wednesdays on E!
Most of the guests, they're set up to fail, essentially. When they arrive to the studio, they're manipulated. Say you have someone who has an alcohol problem. Let's just casually put vodka in the green room to then come out intoxicated.
Did that happen?
Yeah. That was after my time, but I knew about it.
Alcohol in a guest's room, if that would create some drama, was absolutely something that they would do. The producers would want to set people up.
Todd Herzog, one survivor at 22, he was addicted to alcohol, which is an extremely dangerous type of addiction. He said that when he went into his dressing room, he found full bottles of vodka and he drank one. When you watch the episode, Dr. Phil is like, well, we have to get Todd out here.
Well, I'm asked Debbie and Brandon to bring Todd out right now, and that's going to be a bit of a chore, but we'll do what we can here.
Shoot.
Dr. Phil and one of the interventionists each take an arm. Everyone is quiet, and all you can hear is just Todd crying quietly.
I'm sorry, I'm crying because I just can't believe this is happening.
Dr. Phil is like, I want to see how drunk you are.
This is a breathalyzer. I want you to blow into it really hard for 5 seconds when I tell you.
Okay.
Todd felt like the Dr. Phil show had left the alcohol in his room, but they denied leaving the alcohol. don't believe they just have breathalyzers hanging around. It just suggests a level of premeditation. So then Todd blows up 0.26, which is very high, and Dr. Phil puts up on his screen the effects of alcohol at that blood alcohol level.
At 0.25, just so all of you know, all mental, physical, and sensory functions are severely impaired, emotionally and physically numb, and possible loss of consciousness.
And Dr. Phil says, I've never spoken to anyone closer to death. Take him to the hospital. What are you doing? It was a very weird experience to feel upset at something that everyone else sees and nobody thinks there's anything wrong with it. The hypocrisy is so rank. Once you understand that what it actually is a ritualistic humiliation of people who have come to you for help, you can't watch it and think it's funny or meaningless anymore. It's just sad.
Phil is not doing this to help this person. These people are objects to bring onto stage, bring in ratings, and then get them off. It's all about the bottom line.
It was dysfunctional and probably amoral and terrible, but it worked well enough to be the top syndicated show. I think it's hard to tell people to not watch that train wreck, especially if watching that train wreck makes you feel better about your life. I don't think that's good for people, but it never stopped the next family from wanting to come in.
If it's a question of like ethics versus ratings, we may talk a better game now. It's all bullshit. Like, everyone wants to make, something that'll be shared by a bajillion people on social media. Ratings always are going to win.
Guests that we spoke to, they described producers telling them how amazing this was going to be and how Dr. Phil chose them because their story was important. But I think he saw people as things to be manipulated for ratings. And then they would get out on stage and it would be just humiliation.
There's a huge universe out there with a lot of galaxies. Pack our things.
Cars can come in all
room. It was just for my son and I. Me and my mom weren't even together.
Before getting on the stage, they had us sign stuff.
Did you tell your mom again that you really didn't want to be there?
Yes, I did. However, my mom told me that since we were already there, that it was too late. At 16, I wasn't comfortable with that. From my point of view, I did not really have a choice. I repeated to everybody in the room, the producers, hair and makeup people, everybody, is there any way we can back out of this? And they told me no. I was terrified.
So this is the release. Dr. Phil does not and will not administer individual, group, or medical therapy. You have to agree that you will not sue for invasion of privacy, defamation, infliction of emotional distress. I mean, you give up all your rights to go on the show before you go on it. And then you go on the show and you're horrifically humiliated in front of America. And then you're like, oh, I signed away the rights to do anything about this. I can't even talk about it.
Somebody comes and goes, okay, it's time for you to go on. You just head out to the stage and all you see is bright lights everywhere.
I remember going up on the stage in front of this live audience. Physically, I was shaking. I could hardly speak. When the cameras began to roll, Immediately, Dr. Phil brought up how teen pregnancy was overglorified and introduced me as sort of like Exhibit A.
Were you having unprotected sex?
Yeah, I was having unprotected sex and I was on birth control. We were all told that it was about bringing the family together, but I was very shocked and scared to see him picking a side.
Did you get pregnant on purpose?
No, I did not get pregnant on purpose.
Did you want to get pregnant?
No.
And you want to keep the baby?
I'd like to keep the baby.
And raise the baby. But what you really mean is you want to keep the baby so your family can raise the baby, right?
No. Immediately, this was about stupid, dumbass Emily, who does not know what she's doing.
Who out of everybody involved is least equipped to make this decision?
I haven't even met this man, and this is what he'd already determined about my entire life and all of my capabilities.
She's a child having a child. But part of growing up is to realize when you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And she chose a behavior here with a consequence that affects a human being for the rest of their life.
Dr. Phil did not ever address that it was my choice. In fact, I did feel at the time that Dr. Phil was depriving me of that choice. I felt absolutely humiliated.
There wasn't any kind of conversation with Dr. Phil before we actually started. Dr. Phil walks out and the whole audience claps. And then I went out on the stage and, sat in the chair. And they changed our names to be anonymous.
Well, 17-year-old Madison says her 18-year-old brother Colin is selfish, arrogant, and has molested multiple people, including her.
Once he had talked to me for a little bit, they brought my mom out second. He talked to my mom, and then he said, I just want to let you know that your brother's interview is going to be played on the screen in front of everybody.
We're going to hear from him now. He does talk about some of his violation of you in somewhat graphic terms. We've edited it down as much as possible. Are you okay with us playing this?
Yeah.
And you had no idea that they were going to do this?
I didn't. That was the first time I heard him talking about it.
My sister was asleep on the couch, so I went in there and I was feeling over her clothes. When I reached my hand down her pants, and I took it one step further and reached my hand down her panties.
He went into detail about exactly what he had done to me, and I was reliving that trauma on a stage in front of an entire audience. They brought my brother out next. We had been separated for years, so I did confront him maybe a couple times, but I pretty much stayed quiet after that. I honestly, just sitting there on the stage, I felt like I wanted to die. And then Dr. Phil kind of leans up, like he's trying to crack a joke, and he goes, well,
I'd like to thank all of my guests today, and we'll see you next time.
Mom, stop.
It was like making a joke out of the whole thing. Dr. Phil walked off the stage, and that was it. I just remember feeling gutted, like the wind had been knocked out of me. They don't care about your mental health. They care about their show.
Of all of the horrible stories that I have heard about the Dr. Phil show, I think Marcy Newberry's story is the worst. When you're watching that teenage boy describing in graphic detail his sexual assault of his 11-year-old sister, and then Dr. Phil makes her watch in front of a studio audience, who are the people that are watching it and thinking like, yeah, this is good? It's like child abuse. It's like watching child abuse, but it's entertainment.
Tina used to worry about bad breath. Now,
Swishy time.
Sweet. I thought I was going to throw up. Because I had a really bad feeling that something was wrong. I was prepared to tell my story. And he immediately goes into, you had warning signs though.
Now, you had an instinct and you ignored it, right?
Yes, I did.
You said you had a strange feeling about it.
Yes. He was like, this happened, yet you did this. This happened, but you did that.
So it rose to the level that you actually said it out loud.
Yes.
But yet, you stayed home alone with her when your mother took the boys to football practice.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's not. And then he's like, wait, hold on. But then this happened. And I'm like, you're not letting me talk. How do you really ask somebody, like, hey, are you trying to kill me?
That's how nice you are. If the conversation has gotten to the point where that question is part of the dialogue, then it's time for them to go home.
When the audience and him laughed, that broke me. I felt humiliated. I felt like he was blaming me. And then all of a sudden, he brings out this book.
I wrote this book about people like you, about nice people who get taken advantage of. The book is called Life Code.
I was used. Dr. Phil promoted his book and said that it's about people just like me. People that are too nice. But he used the fact that I trusted the Dr. Phil show to do it. That is what a narcissist does. And he's a master manipulator on that part. When the show ends, he doesn't even say a word to you. He just walks right past you like you're nothing. Whoop! Bye. The producers are like, you did so good. You know, let's go back to your dressing room. They are there to get you in and out so fast. I bawled my eyes out in that cab. I came onto the show to take 10 steps forward. I had taken 10 steps backwards. Dr. Phil just basically stated that I was stupid, and it made me feel like I deserved what happened. That's always stuck with me. It's something that I can't get out of my head. I'm still working through it, through therapy now.
I just told my mom I was scared to go home, and I was afraid to face the world after kind of learning that everybody in the world was against me. My mom, she apologized. She has told me many times that it was probably the worst decision that she's ever made in her entire life, and that she would do anything that she could to take it back. Because of Dr. Phil, for a very long time, I was very hyperfixated on making sure I was always doing the right thing. I suffered a lot of very bad anxiety attacks. Now I realize that I should have been protected. I did not have to listen to what everybody told me. I was not being a difficult child because I didn't feel comfortable going on television. I had boundaries, and those boundaries should have been respected. Despite what Dr. Phil said, I have an incredible daughter. She is 13, and she is an honor roll student in advanced orchestra, first chair. She gets straight A's. Literally the most thoughtful, empathetic child. She is everything that Dr. Phil did not expect.
So you know what time it is? It's deal time.
5 pounds. Pregnant, plan to be or take.
Literally, I remember one guest out of, 50 plus, that left in a better space than they came in. The first text that you would get, "You've ruined my life. I'm never going to live this down." I mean, the messages, just horrible. Horrible, horrible.
I don't think they really cared about the guests or if they got better. I think the guests felt like they got thrown out like trash when they bared their souls on this show.
We have an aftercare program where we follow up with 100% of the people that are on the show at no expense to them, care in their own community to work out the problem.
There is something that he has over people. People say that they watched his show and he seemed to help people and he sends people to the best treatment in the whole world. But I have a really hard time understanding how you could believe it. I think people went on this show expecting that it was going to fix their lives. And that's not what happened.
Once we got home, everything felt different. I didn't feel okay. There was a night where my brother's interview just kept playing in my head, and I decided that I didn't want to be here anymore because I knew that that was going to air on national television. I took 30 pain pills. I fell on the floor and I had a seizure, and then I was taken to the hospital after that. I don't remember a lot. I was really out of it. I almost died. The family was still broken, honestly, way more than we were before we went on the show. They throw you out there, they send you home, and you never speak to them again. I was put in a psychiatric facility for a little bit. My mom declined mentally and physically. She's in a nursing home now. I don't see my dad ever. And my brother is in prison. He got 5 years for possession of child pornography. I just hope Dr. Phil realizes what he's actually done and how deeply they hurt people.
Their promise of care. But I can tell you that it comes at a price.
Over a decade of hell for us is just an episode number for Dr. Phil.
I told the neighbors, get cameras, film it all.
They'd be paying them as consultants to make sure that the Dr. Phil referrals keep rolling in.
What treatment providers actually go on the Dr. Phil show?
Surely Dr. Phil wouldn't be sending kids off to be abused.
Dr. Phil says, I have security guards at every door. Nobody leaves.
All of us have wanted to say, this happened, please stop this from happening.
It's very hard to follow the money, but you know the money's going somewhere.